Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karuvavahai Tejasvinavadhitam Astu Mavit Vishavahai Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Om, may the all-pervading spirit protect us. May the all-pervading spirit nourish us. May we work together with great enthusiasm. May our study be fruitful. May love and harmony dwell amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. So good morning, namaste to everybody. I'm very happy to meet you all. Of course, my in absentia pranams to Prabrajika Brahma Pranaji for inviting me to share with you my thoughts, ideas. And the topic I have selected is 3 things to know about Vedanta. What are the 3 things? The 3 things here are 3 connotations of Vedanta, 3 meanings of the term Vedanta. This is important for us. What I will be speaking today will not be new anything. Okay, you probably have heard all of this several times. You yourself know about it. But today, I would like to give a comprehensive view of Vedanta. This is needed in the sense that, it is good to have a map of what we are into, to know the entire territory, and knowing where we are now in the whole scheme of things. When we talk to each other and use the term Vedanta, or when we are reading a book on Vedanta, or we are listening to a talk on Vedanta, which Vedanta we are referring to? Among the 3 connotations, which Vedanta we are referring to? That is good to know, because many a times we use these terms interchangeably. That can create confusion between people. Okay, I am telling Vedanta, you are also telling Vedanta, but maybe referring to 2 different ideas, concepts. So the first importance of knowing these 3 things about Vedanta is to have a comprehensive view of Vedanta for ourselves. Okay, nothing is as important as having a clarity about the path we are into. Okay, so I believe this talk will help to have a clear idea about Vedanta. Second is, one problem we find when someone new asks us, what is Vedanta? Total newbie. Okay, they probably have heard we go to Vedanta Society, we are into Vedanta. They ask us, what is Vedanta? And the devotees really struggle to define Vedanta. How to convey the meaning of Vedanta in a very succinct way. So that will also be the goal of my talk. At the end of my talk, I shall try to give a comprehensive definition of Vedanta, which everybody can understand and appreciate. Okay, so 2 takeaways from this talk will be ourselves having a greater understanding or overview, comprehensive view of Vedanta, and also conveying to others in a way they understand and appreciate it. So to these three connotations, for these three connotations of Vedanta, I have borrowed a terminology from the great Acharya Shankara. Acharya Shankara, who was a 8th century commentator on Vedanta texts, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutras. Very soon we shall come to them in a bit more detail. So Acharya Shankara, in his commentaries, very often say that how to judge any spiritual claim. I can claim many things about spiritual life or spiritual truths. How should we judge? What are the standards for judging? He used three words: Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti. Shruti means literally hard, things that were hard. That is the Vedas or the Upanishads, which were transmitted in oral tradition. They were not at first written down. They were heard from guru to disciple, then they were transmitted through generations. So Shruti. So Shruti means scripture. Yukti. Yukti means logic. Logical. Okay. Putting it in a logical way. That is, the claim should be based on scripture, should not contradict scripture, and it should be logical. Yukti. Those who are from Indian origin, they are accustomed to this word yukti. Okay. Yukti means logical. And anubhuti. Anubhuti means experience. Okay. Something. So I can claim some experience, but it does not seem logical and does not align with the scriptures. Then we have to be a bit doubtful about those claims. If we look at the life of Sri Ramakrishna, he had experiences first by sheer dint of his yearning. He was so eager to have spiritual experience of the truth that by dint of his yearning and practice, he experienced spiritual truths. But he got verified them through different teachers of many traditions who mysteriously came to the temple garden he was staying at. Okay. And they verified that what you have experienced is sanctioned by scripture, as well as it is also logical what you have had. It falls within logic. So that is one thing Shankaracharya says again and again, that what is the proof of any claim? One is scripture, Shruti, Yukti, argument, logic, Anubhuti, experience or realization. So I have unconventionally borrowed these terms from him, but using here in a different context to define Vedanta. Okay, Vedanta. First is, what is Vedanta? Vedanta, the scripture, the Shruti. Okay, Veda, Anta. The word Veda has come from the verb vid. Vid means to know. To know. You know which word has also come from this vid? To know? Video. Video. Latin word video has also got the same root, vid. Vid, vid, to know. So to know, and Veda means the collection of knowledge. Veda is noun, vid is verb, to know, and the place from which we can know is Veda. That is, it is collection of knowledge. So, what collection of knowledge? As it happened that in Indian subcontinent, the weather was pleasant. People had enough to eat because of fertile Gangetic plain and peaceful, not war. There was no war, peaceful people. Climate was good. And maybe even higher up in the Himalayas, some people could afford to go deeper into themselves in meditation. And they realized many spiritual truth. So that is, their mind was receptive. Their mind was receptive, and so they had many spiritual experiences. Just like the signal is everywhere, we need an antenna to receive the signal. So these spiritual truths were always there. These rishis, these seers, these sages were receptive, open, made their mind open and suitable to receive the receptions, and spiritual knowledge was revealed into their mind. Okay. What kind of knowledge? We find in Veda mostly two types of materials. One is when these people was awestruck with the immensity of nature. They were awestruck, by this immensity of nature, this beauty and this variegated nature. So they were surprised. They were in wondering about this creation. So in that state, they poured their heart out in the forms of hymns like Purusha Suktam, which says that this world has come from one spiritual reality. One spiritual reality is peeping through different eyes. The same spiritual reality is walking through different legs. One such hymn is Purusha Suktam. We find similar many hymns dedicated to nature, natural forces like sun, air, thunder, water, rain. So they poured their heart in appreciation of the creation. These are called mantras or samhita. Okay. Next came, all right, we are awestruck by this nature, this something vibrating as if the entire creation is alive. Now, how to connect with that spiritual reality? So, through some concrete means. So, they found a way to connect with that reality with the concrete rituals called fire ceremonies, homa, yaga, or yagya. Okay. So, they could not offer everything to the entire cosmos. They took fire as a representative of the entire creation and expressed their gratitude to this creation, that they were grateful for this creation, and as a token of their gratitude, they started offering things into fire. The idea was to remind ourselves that we should be grateful for all the things we have in this planet. Okay. So that part, those mantras about rituals and how to do the rituals, that part is called Brahmana. So one was mantra, which were hymns, chants in appreciation of nature. Second, those compositions which came spontaneously, that how to connect with that reality through the means of fire, and how to do those rituals. And gradually those rituals went on becoming more and more sophisticated and complicated. So Brahmana also started becoming large. These are mostly two parts of Vedas. But as we know, at that time, Vedic society, the life was divided into 4 stages. First was brahmacharya, or student life. The student would go to a teacher's house, stay for many years, study all of the things, spiritual as well as empirical knowledge they will gain, come back, marry, have a family, and with the help of the wife, both husband and wife will every day do that fire ceremony, morning and evening, brief fire ceremony, and also lead a life based on dharma. And when children, they will take care of their children, when the children will grow up, and when the children are now able to make their own living, then husband and wife together will retire to a forest away from the city. That was the third phase of life, called forest life, or aran, Banaprastha. Banaprastha. Okay. And finally, they will take up the final sannyasa, or exclusive devotion to spiritual inquiry and spiritual practices. So what happened in householders' life, they could do all the rituals, fire rituals daily, and once in a while, special rituals. If you look at your own Vedanta society, daily we have some ritual, once in a while we have special rituals. So so that family people, they used to do this kind of rituals, sometimes even more elaborate rituals. But when they retire to forest life, how could they do all those rituals? Because they did not have anymore those kind of resources to do all the rituals. Because rituals, as I said, went on becoming complicated, sophisticated, needed lot of resources. So what do you do then? Then you do all those rituals mentally. So they became upasana. That is, I am doing all the rituals, but mentally. Okay. Not physically I am doing them, but in meditation I am doing that, doing all the rituals. That is, preparing my mind to ultimately let go of the rituals. But we need a buffer zone from rituals to absolutely without ritual. Okay. So what we needed? A transition called upasana. So those upasanas, how to do the rituals in meditation, that was part of later Brahmanas. Okay. So Veda, one is mantra part, the chants, hymns, Brahmana, how to do the rituals. But out of Brahmana grew a part called Aranyaka. Aranyaka literally means text of the forest. Okay. Texts of for the forest dwellers. You now do all these mental rituals. So more a meditation. And finally, we come to the last part that gradually developed into that even let go of the upasanas, but now ask fundamental questions about life, who we really are, why, where have we come from, where are we going to, what is the purpose of life, what is this world, what is my connection with this world, what is my connection with other human beings, this type of questions and deep inquiry into them. That became the last part of Veda. So if you think about in terms of volume, these Veda, which are huge, one Veda is this big, this wide and thick, okay, and like 4 Vedas. And that was these, all the 4 Vedas we know, they are only 20% of the Vedas. 80% were lost, okay, because they were transmitted orally, and when there was nobody in a family tradition to carry on, thus we lost Vedas. So whatever we have is only 20% of the Vedas in written form. Among these 20% of Vedas, mostly are hymns and brahmanas, that is, how to do the rituals, and very little upasana, that mental ritual, okay, the mental part of that ritual. And also very less of Veda is Vedanta, which we called Upanishad. Okay. So Vedanta means anta, end of Veda. So these texts kind of like a tail hang on the Vedas. So in terms of volume, Upanishads are very, very small part of the Vedas. They are called Vedanta because they come towards the end of the Vedas, and chronologically too, they were composed much later on when people wanted to go into the deeper inquiry, philosophical inquiry, the wisdom part. Also, in terms of the gravity of the material, they are like the culmination of Veda. You start with appreciation, you then do ritual, then you transfer the ritual into meditation, and finally go into deeper inquiry into wisdom. So they are culmination of the Veda. Vedas culminate into this Upanishads. In that sense, it is also called Vedanta. So literally at the end of the Veda, and also thematically, they are the cream of the Veda. So Vedanta in that sense. So by that Vedanta, we mean the Upanishads. Upanishads. Okay. So this is the first connotation of the term Vedanta. Shruti, the Upanishad. The meaning of the word Upanishad are, there are 2-3 meanings. One is, known meaning is sitting near a teacher, sitting near a teacher and get instructed. So these Upanishads were transmitted from teacher to student. So sitting near a teacher or a guru and learning from them, these Upanishads. Another meaning is of something, those knowledge which completely destroys our ignorance, completely destroys our ignorance about our true nature. We have some idea about what we are, but according to that Upanishads, that is limited idea about what we are. So Upanishads, if we can understand, if we can really realize, then it will completely end our ignorance of our true nature. And that is another meaning of Upanishad. Another meaning of Upanishad is the secret teaching, the secret knowledge. Secret why? Because these Upanishads at that time were not available to everybody. Okay, so you should have gone through some preparation. That is, you have done the ritualistic part, and by that you have gained that purity of mind. Okay, we gain purity of mind when we do rituals unselfishly and sincerely. Then you have gained the qualification to go into inquiry, right? It is everywhere, right? In every domain, whether it is games or education, everywhere. We cannot start from the very best at the very beginning, right? There's pro level, then the beginner level, the intermediate, the pro level. So the Upanishads were for the pros, okay, the pro level. So that's why it was secret. It was not as abundant or open as we have it now. Okay, it's the secret teaching, the mystical teaching, which were given to only handful of people who were qualified for that. And we know there are many Upanishads, at least 108 Upanishads were mentioned. Among them, 10 are major Upanishads. Why major? Because Shankaracharya commented on them. Acharya Shankara commented on them, so they are regarded as principal Upanishads like Isha Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, and so on. Okay, and these Upanishads mostly deal with these philosophical questions that what our true nature is, or what is that one reality knowing which we can know everything, or what is that mysterious reality that drives our mind, our senses, our intellect. Is there a such thing? And they are presented sometimes in the form of stories, sometimes as a dialogue between teacher and student. They want to answer these deep questions about life, about world, about ourselves, and our connection with this world and fellow human beings. Upanishad, okay? So this is the first connotations of the word Vedanta. Vedanta, the Upanishad, the Shruti, the scripture, okay? Second connotation is Vedanta, the worldview. Vedanta, the worldview, the philosophy based on yukti or logic. What if we read the Upanishad, we'll see that there are many ideas contained in the Upanishads. That is, Upanishads don't have one unified philosophy. It can be interpreted in different ways. It sometimes speaks about a personal God sitting out there controlling everything. Sometimes it speaks about that God is not there, it is here. We are that God. Okay. All of these revelations that were revealed to the rishis, we find all different ideas contained in the Upanishads. So it is easy to get confused which is right or which one is appealing to me. So there came the need to really find an overarching philosophy or worldview of the Upanishads. Vyasa in 2nd century CE tried to do that. That Upanishads are plenty, many people may not have time to go through all the Upanishads and it may appear confusing. So let me codify Upanishad, okay, codify. And just software coders know that what is good coding? Use as less command as possible. Use as less words as possible. That is what Vyasa tried to do. The entire Upanishads he tried to codify in some sutra, aphorisms. Okay, like one or two word, one aphorism. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Now begins the inquiry into Brahman. Janmadi Asya Yataha, from which everything has come. So he did his job very nicely, codified it so that it can be, why it was needed to be short, because they were still memorized, not yet written down. So memorized, and it is easy to pass small pithy sentences, right? Which we call now memes. Memes, Twitter allow only 360 characters. So be brief so that we can easily understand it and can propagate it. Short, pithy things, easy to remember, easy to propagate. So he did job well. But later on, people could not understand. They were so elusive, so short, so brief that people could not understand. They needed to be then interpreted again. That was taken up by Acharya Shankara in 8th century. So what he tried to do is he took Brahma Sutra, Upanishad, and another small book called Bhagavad Gita. Before he commented on Bhagavad Gita, people did not know about Bhagavad Gita. It was an obscure part in the great epic called Mahabharata. He took up Gita he saw that here is the essence of the Upanishad. So he commented, made commentary, elaborated the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, which was composed by Vyasa, and Bhagavad Gita in his own style. That is non-dual Vedanta. Non-dual Vedanta. Okay. Non-dual Vedanta, he tries to show that the overarching purpose of the Upanishads and Brahma Sutra and Bhagavad Gita is to tell the identity. What is that identity? You are that, or I am that. I, the small, apparently small, limited human being, is in essence infinite. In essence, infinite. So he took up a few very small sentences from the Upanishads, which are called the great sayings. In Sanskrit, they are called Mahavakyas, great sayings. They are statements of identity, that I am that, you are that. Okay. And he built his philosophy around this. There is essentially no difference between me and the spiritual reality, which is everywhere. In essence, I am infinite. So he established this philosophy or worldview by the help of logic. Logic. And he refuted other points of view with the help of logic. So the second connotations of Vedanta is a worldview, a philosophy based on logic. Not only based on Upanishad, the Shruti, but also very much based on logic. Logically placed so that we can have an overarching worldview or philosophy that is supported by the Upanishad. But again, he was not the only one to carve out a philosophy of the Upanishads. There were other commentators came later on, like Ramanuja or Madhva. They interpreted Upanishads in differently. Differently. Because Upanishads, these profound statements, are such that they are open to different type of interpretations. In fact, this is the characteristics of great texts or profound texts, that they apparently very simple, but with time they reveal different things to us. We read the same thing again and again and get different meanings out of it. Take the example of Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, right? So simple words, simple sentences, but those of us who read it regularly or daily, and maybe we have been reading the gospel for decades, very often we find, oh, this statement I never thought in this light. I find the new light now from this simple statement. This is the characteristic of profound texts. So Upanishads, because they are outpouring of spiritual experiences, they are open to different type of interpretations. So Ramanuja, Madhva, they also interpreted it in some different way. And briefly speaking, the difference is this. I was thinking yesterday that what is the difference? So Shankaracharya said that essentially we are not different from that infinite reality. God is the representation of that infinite reality, but in essence, God and I are same. That same spirit is there. It's like in an ocean, we throw a jar, a pot, and the pot gets filled in with water, but the water inside the jar and the water outside the jar, apparently there is difference. This is a small jar, water contained in a small jar, and here is the vast ocean. But both are H2O. Both are H2O. In property, all the properties of the water inside jar and the water outside the jar are same. So Shankaracharya emphasized the essential nature of us. That essentially I am Brahma. Brahma means vast, infinite. Okay. Ramanuja said that, look, thing is, we are part of that infinite. We are not equal to that infinite. Okay. So his emphasis was what? His emphasis was on our essence as well as the human being as we think ourselves as. Okay. So Shankaracharya's emphasis was on the spirit part. Ramanuja's emphasis was the whole human being, essence as well as the human being with body and mind. So if we look at me now, I don't think I am spirit. I believe, yes, there is a spirit in me which even is the witness of our mind, intellect, everything. But this is whole of me. So this whole of me is part of that big infinite thing. Okay. So emphasis was on the entire we. Shankaracharya's emphasis was forget about the jar, concentrate on the water alone. Ramanuja said, no, the jar and the water, all entire thing is part of the ocean. I am not the ocean, I am part of the ocean. And then came Madhva's dualistic school. He emphasized our limited humanness. Yes, essentially, maybe we are infinite, but we are never, ever can be equal to God. The only relationship with God we can have is God and devotee. Okay. I can never be equal to God. I am not part of God. I am not even part of the whole. Okay. eternally we are different. Our only response to that infinite spirit is reverence and love. Then God, out of mercy, may definitely give us that wisdom when we feel that we are part of God, one with God. Okay. But it is dependent on grace of the God. We ourselves cannot do that. So within Vedanta itself, there are these major divisions. Even there are subdivisions. You will be surprised there are 18 major schools of Vedanta philosophy. But most prominent one is non-dual Vedanta by Shankaracharya. I mean, who gave it a solid foundation on logic. Shankaracharya's non-dual Vedanta, and it has a timeless appeal that we are not finite. We are not finite. And we don't have to believe in a personal God. Some of us definitely, maybe, do not like any personal form of God. We like maybe impersonal God, formless God. To them, it is very appealing. Throughout the ages, it has captured the attention of many intellectuals, scholars, inspired movies like Star Wars, Matrix, Inception, then Mind Atlas, all of these Hollywood movies I am speaking about. They all were inspired directly or indirectly by this non-dual Vedanta. Okay, so this is the second connotation of the term Vedanta. Vedanta based on logic, a worldview, a philosophy, which can be taught in schools, colleges, but it is not only a philosophy for intellectual, gymnastic or intellectual exercise, but it is a philosophy for realization of that reality. So two connotations of Vedanta. One was Vedanta, the literal meaning, the last part of Veda, the Upanishad. That is, in short, we can call it Shruti, the scripture. Second connotation is Vedanta as a philosophy, a very well developed philosophy, a worldview, and the prominent one being Acharya Shankara's non-dual Vedanta. And now comes the third connotations of Vedanta. This Vedanta is the Vedanta of Vedanta society. The last connotation is the Vedanta when we say we go to Vedanta society. This is Anubhuti, emphasis on realization of that reality. Not merely Upanishad, not only study the philosophy, not only listening to that philosophy again and again, not also the very lucid or eloquent explanation of the philosophy, but it is realization which transforms our life. Emphasis on realization. Swami Vivekananda said, religion is realization. Religion is realization. Swami Vivekananda got this message from his master, Sri Ramakrishna. Swami Vivekananda was a seeker. He was seeking the truth and going from scholar to scholar, scholars of Vedanta, those who are scholars of Vedanta, very eloquent, articulate, great orators of Vedanta. Have you seen God? And they would explain very nicely. That is, avoiding the question. First time he met someone, he directly said, yes, I have seen God. God can be realized. you too can realize God. This is the Vedanta of Vedanta society, which has been called differently Neo Vedanta, Modern Vedanta, Integral Vedanta. The emphasis is realization. Why realization? Without realization, we won't have that kind of transforming knowledge. We can read about a lot how to cook a dish. We can watch 100 videos how to cook, say, lasagna. But until we eat the lasagna, it won't satiate our hunger. We can read a lot about how to do swimming. In fact, this is my own life from my own experience. When I wanted to learn swimming, I watched several types of videos in the YouTube. And I thought, yes, I have understood now. This is the only thing I have to do. So I was at Belun Math at that time, and we have a pond at Belun Math. So next morning, with all enthusiasm, I will go and apply that method, and I will sink every day. So the practice was missing. Okay, we can watch a lot of videos, you read a lot, but until we realize that, our life will not change. Our life will not change. So that is the emphasis of Sri Ramakrishna's Vedanta. The basic principles are these, that God can be realized. God can be realized by all. It is not a fancy. It is not a figment of mind. God can be realized. God is real, can be realized in this very life. Second, it can be realized in different ways. There is no one chosen way to realize God. It can be realized through all faith traditions, all religions. Only thing is, sincerity is needed. Sincerely follow, you will reach the goal. And finally, as I said, it can be realized in different ways. Swami Vivekananda very nicely defined this, that each soul is potentially divine. All of us potentially divine. How to make this potential thing to dynamic, kinetic? That is, realize this through either by work, that is karma yoga, doing service to others in a spirit of service. Do this either by work or worship, that is bhakti yoga, path of devotion, with loving connection with a deity, having intimacy with a deity, or meditation, that is Raja Yoga. Meditation is integral to all the paths. Meditation is a staple for all the paths, whether it is Karma Yoga, or it is Bhakti Yoga, or even the path of wisdom, Swami Vivekananda says, or through the path of philosophical inquiry or wisdom. And be free. This is the whole of religion. So this Vedanta, the Vedanta, Sri Ramakrishna's Vedanta is the Vedanta when we speak of Vedanta society. A way of life rooted in the Upanishads, where the emphasis is on realization, transformation of our life. And how can we do it? Mostly 4 broad divisions: work or love, meditate, and know. Okay, I was thinking yesterday evening, let me make a catchy slogan out of it. Okay, so I thought, okay, love, serve, know, grow. Love God and also fellow human beings. Serve others as manifestation of God. Know your true nature with the help of philosophical inquiry, with the help of Upanishads, scriptures, and grow. Grow daily by meditation. Grow daily. And finally, transform yourself. So I promised you, I will try to give a definition of Vedanta, which you can tell others. A totally new person who does not know anything about Vedanta, that what is Vedanta? You may say like this: Vedanta is a spiritual way of life. The goal is to realize God, to realize our divine nature. And it can be realized in different ways. And the slogan here is love, serve, grow, and know. Okay. So let me sum up what we studied today. I tried to give you three connotations of Vedanta. Okay. So that we have a clear view that when we are using the term Vedanta, what are we referring to? Are we referring to Vedanta as the Upanishad itself, which is literal meaning of Vedanta, which is the Shruti? Or when we are speaking about Vedanta, are we speaking about the Vedanta, the worldview? And if it is so, which worldview? The non-dual of Shankara, the Vishishtadvaita of Ramanuja, or dualistic Vedanta of Madhva, or even many in between? Mostly when we say Vedanta in the sense of worldview, in our tradition, we usually referring to Shankara's non-dual Vedanta, which is appealing to most of us. Finally, Vedanta, the way of life, the spiritual way of life. Take the example of Sri Ramakrishna. Can we say that he was not into Vedanta? But he did not study Upanishads at first. He did not go to Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. He did not attend thousands of YouTube lectures on Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. But he lived the life of Vedanta. Ramana Maharshi had the experience first, got transformed, then started understanding Upanishads, things like that. That is Vedanta as the way of life. One Swami who first introduced me to Vedanta, he told me that you can get 99 marks out of 100 in an exam of Vedanta, but you may not live Vedanta. You may not be living the life of Vedanta. It is quite possible that we can understand intellectually so well these Upanishads and the philosophy behind it, but life may not change at all. So Vedanta. So my point was very easy in nowadays to be carried away by so many talks about Vedanta, 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 and we may forget that the emphasis of the Vedanta societies is spiritual realization. Vedanta as a spiritual way of life, where we try to love, serve, know, and grow. All right. So you can ask me any question if you have, or if you want to add anything to the ideas I presented to you, you can please do that. But before that, I will do the closing chant. Okay. And if you know, you can join me in doing this. Madhuvataritāyate. This one I will chant. Om Madhuvata Ritayate Madhuksharanti Sindhavaha Madhirnaha Santoshadhihi Madhunaktam Utoshasi Madhumat Parthivagam Rajaha Madhudvau Astuna Pita madhumano vanaspatir madhumagam astu suryaha madhvir gabo bhavantu naha. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Om, sweet blow the winds, and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the herbs and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us be the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessing. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us be the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us be the shining sun. Sweet unto us be all living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace.